Okay, we're live. Good morning and good afternoon to those of you on the East Coast. I am Chris Scribbins, the VP of Sales here at Freedom Voice, and I'd like to thank you for joining us today's Freedom Voice Partner Webinar. I will be moderating today's session and will be joined by Dale Stein, who will be our presenter today. Dale is one of the founders of the Technology Assurance Group and is also a co-owner of VoiceSmart, a very successful partner that sells IP managed services as well as voice over IP phone systems. Dale has been a Freedom Voice partner for over 8 years now and has sold our solution to over 100 customers in that time. I think that you will find what he has to say today very interesting. Now a couple of administrative things before we begin. This webinar is scheduled for 60 minutes and is being recorded to be made available to you for further review. Also, everyone will be muted by default, so we have no background noise for today's webinar. If you do have any questions for us, please type them into the questions panel in your GoToWebinar toolbar. Once we finish the presentation, we will have time to answer any questions that you may have typed in during the call. With that said, I think we're ready to get started, and I'm going to hand this over to you now, Dale. Take it away.
Thank you. And let me just pull up my screen. All right, thank you. So we're set up here. Appreciate you, everyone, taking your time and energy. I know we're all on busy schedules. Want to make this session productive for everybody. We're going to be talking primarily targeting the right cloud voice audience. Who are the people we should be selling to? How do we approach them? And how do we get to the right decision maker? And who do we take a look at? Before we get started, however, I want to talk to you about this series of what we're trying to do here. This is a series that we're going to build up, and each one of these PowerPoints will stand as an independent, but they all come together as a total process. Today we talk about targeting the right cloud voice audience. How do you market, call, and set a cloud voice appointment? What do you do on the first call? And then we have presenting your cloud voice proposal and 3 key ways of increasing your close ratio. And then using the cloud voice to earn your customers' MSP business. So it's a sequence of web shares, each building upon each other. And as you become familiar and you see what we're doing, you'll start bringing more and more of the people within your organizations into these web shares, because we're trying to put together a total package, but yet take it in small clips so that you're going to be able to understand it and work with it, and you will have access to these presentations. So our process is build on today, and each seminar will be targeted to help consummate success in selling cloud service voice. Just a little bit of background on myself, co-founder of Technology Assurance Group. We've been in the business 20 years. Our group represents about $350 million a year in product and services. Also a partner in VoiceSmart Networks, an MSP here in California. And VoiceSmart Networks received the 2003 Channel Partners 360 Award for providing a holistic approach to market managed IT services. We built our managed service business by going in and soliciting companies on voice cloud services such as Freedom IQ. It was the first step 8 years ago when we started presenting voice. We found that those companies that would allow you to put their phones out in the cloud also were high candidates in likelihood of allowing you to put their data out in the cloud, or at least managing their data. So it was a real good impact for us to help us build our MSP business while we built our recurring revenue business on cloud services. So, owner of iNet grew a company from $600K in annual sales to $18 million within 6 years, and we became one of the most successful VARs in the industry. This was from 1992 to 2000. And when we look back at those days of selling phone systems where you can make a living selling phone systems, our industry is changing. The marketplace is changing. The competition is changing. We have a whole series of different ways of looking at our business. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today when we start talking about who is the audience and who do we start talking to. Who is TAG? International Association of Managed Service Providers. And we take our group and we help them become unified communications system providers. We teach integration, IT, telecommunications, AV surveillance, video, telepresence, managed services, managed print, and connectivity. And a true unified communication systems provider, which we believe is the format of where our industry is going. We used to be able to make a living selling phone systems. IT companies were able to make a living by having 40, 50 customers that they would service, and that whole industry, that whole marketplace, and that whole series of opportunities has definitely changed. You have to be multitasking. You have to have multiple service lines to be successful within our industry. And cloud voice is a pinnacle central point that allows you to get to that point of business. Got 90-plus members throughout U.S. and Canada, representing about $350 million in product and services. And our members benefit from a variety of programs that we drive. And that's sales and profitability, recurring revenue streams, which we consider the most important thing you can be doing as a company, is finding ways to create recurring revenue streams. And that's why cloud voice is such an important aspect of your business. At Voice Smart Networks, we have $23,000 a month coming in on recurring revenue from cloud services. Managed IT services and IT solutions, employee productivity and retention, and market share. And when we first started this, we have a very good relationship with Freedom IQ. They've helped us become a successful company. Chris came to us and said, Dale, would you like to be able to help the industry as an industry, help our membership understand what you're doing, how you're doing it, and why you're doing it? And as a result of that, we've been able to put these series of webinars together, and hopefully some of you will reach back out, get a little bit more detail of who TAG is, and see if we can be of any assistance with you in conjunction with Freedom IQ. So we do thank you for that. Targeting the right cloud voice audience. I'm going to start off with cloud voice is an ROI decision in most cases. We are finding 85% of the time when we go into a facility and we look at their older phone systems, they're still on T1s, they're on MPLS, they're on services that are not internet based. If we go in and take a look at phone bills and take a look at the ability to sell them a cloud voice product, 85% of the time the system is free to them or they make money on the transaction. And this is a very, very key important factor, which means if you're talking ROI, you need to be talking to either an owner of a company or their CFO of that company. And that's where we target 99.9% of our transactions in our business, is with the owner or the CFO, because before it becomes a technical decision, it will become a business decision based on what's my return on my investment. And this helps you secure the transaction. We do not sell services to IT personnel. We've been very, very successful of going above the IT person. It's not that we don't bring an IT person into the discussion. And when you call in to and make an appointment and the owner or the CFO says, oh, we have an IT department, you need to be talking to them, our response pretty much is, well, before we talk to them, we need to talk to you about the business application, the ROI, which is our return on investment, because if it doesn't pencil out, there's no reason for you to change. Once we are able to determine that we have ROI, let's bring in your IT department at a time to prove out the technology. I need 15 minutes of your time to meet with you to be able to see if, in fact, we have ROI for the transaction. And now what happens, you have the decision being pushed down by the owner or CFO to an IT person, which means it's going to give you a little bit more probability of success in the closing of this transaction. very critical aspect of what we're talking about here. A lot of people have a hard time wrapping their head around, oh, I'm not going to be talking to the IT director. And when you really look at it, you've all been in the business long enough, is that there's fewer and fewer and fewer IT people on staff in most companies. This is an owner CFO decision, is that let me take a look at cloud services, let me find out what the ROI is, let me become a little bit educated, let me look at the business solution of this transaction. What we have witnessed and what we're seeing is that customers, rather than the industry, are creating the demand for cloud voice transactions. Those of you who are on the street, as we are, we're seeing that the customer is requesting, and the customer wants to be educated, and the customer wants to understand cloud services. And there's a tremendous amount of articles that are being written out there. Owners and CFOs are constantly hearing about, talking about, looking at cloud services, which gives us the opportunity to come in there and understand what they're looking for. And here's what they're really looking for. As a business owner, they want to deal with a known fixed cost. And that's what cloud voice services will do for them. This is the cost. It's not going to increase or decrease except for number of employees up or down. And you're able to give them a fixed cost, so when they do budgeting, when they go into your annual budgets, they're going to look at it, they're going to have that fixed cost to deal with. They don't want to deal with the unknowns. What's the upgrades and or obsolescence of their technology? Most of these companies have been in business that this is their third or fourth time that they're buying a phone system. They don't like that concept that every 8 to 10 years they got to buy another phone system. They don't like the concept of where the industry went with put the phone system in, but you know, you have to have a partner program or you have to have a software agreement in place, or otherwise you can't get service on it. And none of them want to deal with obsolescence. And what Cloud Voice does, it allows them to have a system that will grow with their company, will stay current where they don't have obsolescence, and it has a fixed cost. That is very, very appealing to a business owner. Now, here's the other thing that we stress to membership. Once a customer puts in a phone system like the Freedom IQ, there's no reason ever to buy another phone system, is there? Our marketplace is shrinking every day that goes by that you're not out there actively pursuing voice cloud services. Your competition's out there doing it. Companies like myself are out there doing it. Tag members are out there doing it. Carriers are out there doing it. The box companies are trying to grab share of products and services out there. We have a tremendous amount of competition out there because everybody's trying to get in there and secure that account, because that account you keep forever and it creates a reoccurring revenue stream associated with it. So that's one of the other reasons you need to get into this business if you're not taking this business seriously. And they want to be able to scale. They want multiple sites, integration, including an employee's home. We have gone to and are becoming a very, very mobile society. And with the advent of cloud, with the advent of worldwide connectivity, with the advent of being mobile, Cloud Voice gives you the most options. So once again, we're satisfying a need that the customer is looking for and is driving. So if Cloud Voice Services is an integral major component part of your business, you know, the light needs to turn on. You need to understand what's happening to our business. Opportunities exist first in your customer base. We've all been around, we've all sold systems, we have customers, and the first and most important thing you need to do is market to your customer base. But before you do that, I mean, the basic marketing 101, the most basic concept of marketing. When you market, you need to market to your employees first and foremost. They need to understand what the opportunities are, what you're doing with cloud, why you're going to cloud, while you're trying to make the transition of your company to cloud. That's why as many people in your organization that you can have join these kind of presentations. It's an education process. But you need to market to your employees first and foremost. Then you need to market to your existing customer base, and then you need to market to the outside industry. And the number one thing that exists, if you don't sell a hosted solution or a cloud voice solution to your customer, somebody else will, and you will lose that customer. So when you go into your customer base, you have replacement of manufactured discontinued product, and that's the first and foremost. That's what we call the low-lying fruit. Go into the base, take a look at the older systems that you sold 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 8 years ago, and come in and do an ROI, get them out of their T1s, get them out of their MBL lines, get them out of paying local long-distance calls, and put them into a SIP environment, which is today's product and services. Show them the benefits of what they have today, what they can have in today's technology, and start showing them that this will be the last phone system they ever purchase. It's a system that will stay current. You won't have obsolescence, and I'm going to have a fixed cost. And let's talk about all the business applications now that we're going to have with the new technology. Startup companies. I got a company that's starting up with 3 or 4 employees. We look for those companies. We work with the incubators. We work with companies that are just starting, because those companies will in fact grow. We have a Freedom IQ system with a company called Peak Health. We started out with about 10 phones, and I believe we're up to 100 seats, 100 plus seats with that company right now. It's a real easy way for a startup company to keep their costs contained. They don't have to have cash outlay. It's a monthly figure for them. And the other thing is that because they're new companies, they can't get credit, so they can't afford to put in a phone system for, even if it's $2,000 or $3,000. They don't want to do that. They want a monthly type fee. Those startups are your future as those businesses grow, and you help them grow with the right technology that will continually keep putting in more and more system phones and product and services from you as those companies grow. So that's a real area of concentration. Every one of your cities, every one of wherever you're at in the country, there's organizations that have incubators and companies that assist and help startup companies. You've got to get to know those people. And then companies that are growing and expanding. We did a sushi lounge, put in 2 phones. They're now up to 6 restaurants with 2 to 3 phones in each one of them. If they're going to be opening multiple sites, you take a look at putting in national accounts, anything that has to do with franchise, where they have multiple store locations or multiple businesses. The hosted voice is an absolute great solution for that, so you need to expand into that area. And then any company that's starting to deploy mobile workforces, and we need to educate companies of how to help them mobilize their workforce. So all the opportunities moving forward all point to voice, our cloud voice services. So once again, if this is not a major integral part of your business, you really need to sit down and take a look at what are we going to do, how are we going to do it, because the days of going out and selling a phone system for $20,000 to $50,000, putting the servers, putting the CPUs into their office, and having it contained are going to be short-lived here. Impact on the decision maker. I'm going to walk you through a number of reasons and a number of areas of how you get into the right person within a company. And the first thing is that bandwidth is a great vehicle to start talking to your companies about your existing customers or new customers, and putting a program together talking about bandwidth, and more bandwidth. More companies are using bandwidth. I'll show you a few examples. Slow internet, we can fix that. These are short, to the point, These can be put onto an email campaign. They can put onto a postcard campaign. They can be put on a drop-off sheet. You can use these in multiple ways, but they're quick, they're impactful, and it gets your name out to who you're dealing with in your marketplace. And everybody has some kind of issues with internet. We all are in this industry. We all have the capacity to bring more internet into a facility. And when you start talking about internet, that allows you now to start talking about, well, you know, we're going to increase your bandwidth, but what are you doing with your voice? Let me show you how to eliminate that phone bill, and let's put everything on voice. And then we start talking about the higher reliability of coming in with SIP technology and so forth. But it's a way to get in and talk to them. Bandwidth hogs, remote bandwidth monitoring. So different ways to do that. The other way we have is cloud voice. We have a whole series of how do we educate, how do we get to the CFO, how do we get to the owner of a company, how do we get to the right decision maker by targeting the right audience. And when you look at cloud voice, you know, warning, you'll save so much with cloud voice, you know, it may confuse your accountant. You know, we send this to the CFOs and the accountants within a company. They look at it, all right, and naturally these are followed up with phone calls, which we're going to get into in the next number of seminars. But we're going to condition the marketplace before we start making appointments. We're going to start saying, based on who we're supposed to be talking to, owners and CFOs, we're going to start a campaign into that group of people. And when we start making those phone calls to set appointments and how to make those appointments in the next couple of seminars, they're going to have, subconsciously, they're going to have the name of your company in front of them. They're going to see some things, and these are fairly memorable, so that they're looking at it. And we're saying, hey, cloud voice will save you dollars. And every company out there is looking to contain their costs. Why cloud voice? Because today's CEO never stops running their business. This is directed to the CEOs and owners of companies, because every owner in every company is now mobile to some degree. Instant scalability, exceptional call quality, enhanced productivity. We just want short blurbs, put a picture in their mind. Pictures are worth 1,000 words, and we're conditioning the marketplace with why cloud voice is going to be important to them. So when we start to set up our appointments, they become more productive. Cloud voice reduces your phone bills. This is called a no-brainer. So, you know, subconsciously we're saying, you know, why wouldn't you do this? If you're not doing it, something's wrong. You're not looking at the right concept. So quick, short, fast, and these are the reasons why you and your salespeople need to understand and start presenting of what happens and why am I going with cloud voice. We are all seeing a major resurgence in education. All the K1s, K9s, all the high schools. We're now going into a slower period right now, but we all know that come springtime, that new technology into the schools starts picking up again. And we start going after the education market. We've had tremendous success with cloud voice in this marketplace. Reach everyone when it counts. In other words, the internal communications of schools, based on today's insanity of what we have going out there with terrorists and everything else. This is a key critical component to the schools of how they protect their students and their faculty. Instantly reach all facilities, staff, and law enforcement in an emergency simultaneously. Not at our school. Eliminate inappropriate web browsing at your school. Wondering how to protect your students on the web? Call us today. And here again, this leads us into voice IP. And then the most critical one we have here is manufactured discontinued product. This is the low-lying fruit. This is the ability to understand what systems you presently have, what is manufactured discontinued, what product lines you no longer want to carry, and where you say, hey, you know what, I've decided I'm no longer to carry this particular product line. I have to take that customer base and start transitioning to a different product. And we're all seeing this. Every manufacturer out there now has a hosted type solution of some sort. So the Freedom IQ product that allows you to come in and start replacing that on a single platform. They've been around for a long time. The consistency of their services are there. You know, they know what they're doing and so forth. And you have a product that will grow for you and with you. So as you look at manufacturer discontinued, you know, some things belong in the past, like this kind of office technology. And here again, what you want to do, you want to say, what's my audience? How do I start marketing to that audience? What do I say to that audience before I start making my phone calls into the audience? How do I soften that audience up? How do I take and determine what I'm going to go after? Here's what we know. We know we want to go to a CEO. We know we want to go to a CFO. We know we want to take ROI as our major thrust going in there, and we want to take the risk away from the technology of working or not working. And when we get into some other seminars, we're going to show you how we're going to be able to do that and how to compete against, you know, the box houses that we call, where someone calls up and, you know, orders a phone over the internet and they ship it to you, which we know doesn't work. Is your office technology up to date? And here again, when you take a look at this, we're targeting a particular audience, and we're talking about education, manufacturer discontinued, office technology. And it allows people to take a couple split seconds to go, oh yeah, that makes sense. And then as we follow up with our phone calls, and we're able to set appointments. So these are tools that we utilize to make sure that we're getting our message across to the person that we're going to be contacting. And then the other one is that anyone who's moving, most of us are using some form of lead generation for companies that are moving. You know, the economy has picked up. We're seeing a lot of movement going on. We see that the rental of space within our communities is starting to fill up. Companies are moving, and that's the ideal. It's one of the best appointments we can have is, you know, new office space, are your phones, internet, and computers set up? And what we do is we have a list of companies that we know that their leases are coming due, and, you know, 8 months before that lease is up, the owner or the CFO starts getting these kind of messages about new office space, because they know that, well, hey, wait a second, my lease is coming up. I may be moving, I may not be moving. So when we start calling them 7 months, 6 months before their lease is up, you know, we have our name out in front of them once again. And that's the important thing that we're trying to do here. You know, moving, hit the ground running, and that's always the important thing that we're trying to do. Put an image in front of them, and here again, CEO, CFO. And then SIP. We're going to talk about how we use SIP in our presentations, how we use it in our first call. But once again, it's an education process that we're going through with the right people and giving them an understanding of SIP, talking about a technology that is a today's technology. You know, 8 years ago, we told everybody, geez, you got to be aware of SIP. Told them it's not ready 8 years ago. 5 years ago, 100% of everything we've done as a company has been SIP-based. So if you're not 100% SIP-based, once again, you're behind the curve a little bit. You know, are your phones out of style? Stop paying for local long distance. Eliminate hundreds of dollars of unnecessary expense. This is an ROI transaction, and we're going to show you how to put that together on ROI in the next webinar. And then, you know, everyone hears voice over IP. We couple voice over IP. SIP is what has allowed voice over IP to work. Voice over IP, a lot of people have been afraid of it in the past, and it's because no one took into consideration QoS, how to set up the routers. And the thing that you have with Freedom IQ, you got Freedom IQ University that ensures that your operation and installation personnel understand how to put the routers, how to get QoS, how to put everything on a PoE switch, how to install this thing in a proper manner. So you look at voice over IP, you look at SIP, you look at the education marketplace, you look at manufactured discontinued equipment. These are all of the areas that you want to start educating your existing customer base on, and you want to start educating your customer base, understanding why they need to shift to this, and then you take this to the public market, and once again you start creating campaigns, you start creating what I call funnels of business. I'm going to go after the educational marketplace. I'm going to start talking to the medical industry. I'm going to talk to the auto industry. I'm going to talk to companies that are startup companies. Each one of those, you have a different plan, a different campaign, and what we do here at TAG, and with the help of Freedom IQ, we help deploy these kind of programs for you. Are they gone yet? SIP eliminates scary phone bills. And these programs that we have here have been very, very effective. We get about a 30 to 35% open rate, and if you are a TAG member, if someone opens these 3 times, you get notified who's opened them, that they've been opened, and it's an immediate phone call from the salesperson into the customer that's opened them. It's time to beef up your business communications. And here again, get the name out in front of them, getting the right person within the company. So the next webinars that we talk about is, what do you do on the first call appointment? We're going to talk about how to get that appointment, followed up on what we're doing here, what we're trying to accomplish with this transaction. We know who we're going to be calling into. We're going to show you how to call into them. We're going to script that for you. We're going to have an ability to talk to them, get the appointment, and what do you do once you have that appointment? It's going to be January 13th. These webinars have been recorded. They're going to be made available to you. If you want to start bringing more people within your company to go through these, we can do that. And on the January 13th, we could take it to the next level. We know who we're going to be talking to. We've softened that audience. Now we're going to show you how to make that appointment and what you do on that first appointment, which is going to be absolutely critical to your success. We have a sales process, and the only time we use the sales process is if we want to get the sale. The sales process has about a 90% close ratio on what we go out. We don't lose to our competition when we use the sales process that we've developed, that we're going to share with you. On the February 17th, presenting your cloud voice proposal and the 3 keys to increasing your close ratio. We're going to show you how to get together and how to put together and how to present price, how to present your ROI, how to present the proposal that assures you of success in obtaining the transaction. And then, as most of you are also looking at MSP business, we're going to show you how you make that transition from going from cloud voice over to an MSP transaction. So with that, I want to turn this over to questions and answers, and I'll turn this back to you, Chris, if you can moderate that and see what we have going here, all right?
All right, Dale, thanks. Just real briefly, wanted to run through a couple quick slides on us, and then we'll dive into the any questions that are going on. And please type in your questions as you have them, and we'll take them as they come up. All right. Okay. I'll make sure we're showing the right screen here. There we go. Cool. So I want to thank Dale for all that content. And again, please type in any questions that you have for Dale. And definitely plan on joining us for the rest of the sessions that are coming up. It's a great content. Just some real briefly, some stuff on Freedom Voice. I think you guys, most of you that are on the call today, I see are partners of ours, but See, we've got a few partners that are taking a look at the program for the first time. So just a quick recap about Freedom Voice. You should definitely take a look at our partner program. We are a 100% channel company. We have an onboarding program that is guaranteed the partners, when they sign up, get properly trained, as Dale mentioned. Technical sales and marketing training. We've got marketing programs that will guarantee you to be successful selling and making money with voice. And we've got a unique pricing model that gives you a lot of control over how you price the service and also the margins that you make on the service. One of the keys to our secret sauce, and this actually lines up well with what Dale was talking about, it's a great door opener, is the free money program. It's as simple as collecting phone bills from your customers. You have an opportunity to show them how to make them save money. This fits in nicely with the process that Dale was just reviewing. We actually subsidize this program with spiffs for your salespeople as well, so you get them to engage and focus on it. And we also have a new program running for all of our partners this quarter. If you've got new salespeople or you'd like someone to help you sell, we have the Phone Blitz program. And the idea here is that all you need to do is block an hour and prepare a list of customers or prospects that you'd like to call. You make these calls together with your Freedom Voice account manager. All you need to do is make an introduction, and then they go through and explain how they can help the company save money and ask for the phone bills. And as an incentive, get you to take advantage of this process, because we found it to be really, really successful, is we will pay you $100 just to do one of these blitzes. And I think that once you see the results, you'll be happy to come back and do it again. So sign up for a phone blitz. Our folks are standing by ready to help you with this. And then the last thing, this is a contest that we've been running for a few months. I mean, there's still 6 weeks to go. If you could close 5 deals as part of the free money program by the end of 2015, you'll be entered into a drawing to win 2 plane tickets to Hawaii. And so everybody likes to go to Maui in the wintertime. So let's get out there and take advantage of the free money program. Sign up for your blitz, get your 5 deals, and get a chance to go to Hawaii. So that's it for the prepared content from both Dale and me. At this point, we're just looking for questions. It looks like we have our first one here. So Dale, what's the most effective way to counter the triple play or combination type packages that are usually offered by cable companies, so your Comcast and whatnot?
Yeah. When you look at Comcast, you look at the carriers and so forth, and the sales process that we use is that you have the ability to offer a month-to-month that they don't have. You have the ability to become a local service provider versus a regional or a carrier type national company. Most of those carriers, trying to get service from them has always been challenging. I'm going to show you some blogs on most of the carriers and the services that they provide. When we get into the next presentation on that first appointment or going in for a proposal, I have a whole list of blogs on pretty much most of the carriers, most of the box companies, and when you read those, it gets real scary. And the common thread amongst all of them is the really poor service that they're giving. Where you, as an independent contractor, independent company within a community, you have more ties to the community. I always say to everybody, here's my home phone number. If you got a problem, you can always get hold of me. Try to get a phone number to Comcast and have anybody return that call without putting you through a nightmare to do it. So we're going to show you how to differentiate yourself from those carriers. And it's like every carrier is out there competing for the business. It's not their main business. It still comes down to the sales guy that's out there versus your sales guy that's out there, and what your sales process is and what their sales process is. What the carriers are doing is that how many phones, how many seats, here's your price, and here's the bundle. What you're going to do is you're going to talk about business applications, you're going to talk about increasing profitability, you're going to talk about reliability, and you're going to talk about responsibility to your end user, the customer. You're going to set the bar that your competitor, the Comcast, who are just sitting out there saying, how many phones, how many lines, here's your price. And that's what they do, gentlemen. I mean, that's how that's sold out there. We're going to show you how to give a better price presentation than you're presently giving. And we're going to force Comcast to try to meet the bar that you've set, and at the same time, I'll use some examples of costing. What Freedom IQ has been able to do, you have flexibility how you want to be able to cost, and you still become very profitable in what you're doing. So I don't know if I've totally answered that question, but we all compete against them. I don't lose to Comcast. We don't lose to the carriers. And when you really start explaining to the customer the environment that they're purchasing from versus the environment that you create for them, it becomes a different transaction, because we're going to also show you how to bundle managed services, how to bundle all of the unified communication services that carrier cannot do.
Excellent. So I'd love to chip in a comment too as well. Yeah, as you guys know, these big cable companies are carpet bombing the universe with their advertising and whatnot, and this is a really an easy opportunity for you to compete and win. These guys are notorious for very poor customer service. You know, the end user customers don't like to talk to these companies. They're not happy with the service, as Dale mentioned. And it turns out that one of the top sources that we have for new customers are people switching from these you know, bundles to the Freedom Voice service. So Comcast is actually the #1 service that people are changing out when they move over to Freedom Voice. So you can compete and win against these guys. Dale's going to give you guys some additional tips and techniques for how to go after them in the future seminars.
And so, Chris, just to follow up on that, when you get, and you will get these, you get 3 or 4 companies that have switched out of Comcast or switched out of 8x8 or all this crap that's out there. You keep that list, and when someone says, I'm looking at this, say, well, you know, here's 5 companies that had it. Give them a call.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
As soon as you have that, and you will get that. We have certain companies that we've been able to convert out, and as we come up against them in the next case, we just say, you know, here's 5 or 6 companies that used to have that service. And I hand them the sheet and say, you know, give them a call and ask them. And every one on that sheet will say, don't go down that path. Now, you know, and we'll show you how to put those lists together, how to go after to obtain those lists. So yeah, awesome. So you're correct.
No, that's great. That's a great tip, actually, right there. That nothing more compelling than someone who's already made that decision, right? So the next question is, have you had success using the hosted phone systems as a wedge product? Like you sell that as your initial offering, and then you're able to build a relationship and expand that out to get the full managed services relationship down the road.
Yeah, we built our managed service based business off of our cloud voice. 2 things we've learned. We never go in and try to sell both at the same time. It becomes way too confusing. We use this. It's an easier sell to sell cloud voice. We get in there. Our people are extremely competent on the network side. We run a tool, and when we run that tool on the network, we now know what kind of network we're dealing with. We'll consummate our transaction with the voice, and then once that transaction is accomplished and it's behind us, we then go back and say, here's some of the things that we've noticed on the network. You know, here's some reports that we did for you. Can we show you a different way of how you're managing your network? And they'll say, yeah, show us a different way. And then we go into a whole presentation of how do we present MSP, and that's hopefully, if these are successful and we get what we want, we could possibly transition to that also, because right now, you know, MSPs are selling cloud voice, and cloud in telephony guys who used to be telephony guys are now doing MSP. You know, it's a changing marketplace out there. Very, very effective. It is the reason why 8 years ago we decided to start selling hosted transactions, and 5 years ago when we started VoiceSmart, we built our business around the hosted platform, and we're a very successful MSP.
Excellent. Okay, so that exhausted our questions for today. Dale, if you have any other final comments, otherwise we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
No, I really appreciate your time. Those of you who want to take a closer look at what we do at Technology Assurance Group, there's a website that's sitting up there. You have my contact information, Dale S. at tagnational.com. Give me a call. Be more than happy to walk you through any situations that you have. Talk to you a little bit in deeper depth about our relationship with Freedom Voice and what TAG is doing and what we can do for you. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your content today, Dale. It was good stuff, and I hope everyone took advantage of that. And please join us for the next one in the series. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care.
Thanks, Chris.
Bye now.